Hi, what's up guys? I'm David.
And I'm Scott.
And today we're going to talk to you about how we're really treating our Florida waters.
Florida is surrounded by water on almost all sides and has over 600 miles of beaches.
Those beaches are filled with people and hotels and restaurants all up and down the coast.
The beach is a place to simply hang out, have fun, and relax.
But soon there won't be any beaches nice enough to relax on.
Resorts and hotels are popping up everywhere nowadays, and they're being built so that everyone can be a part of the natural beauty of our beaches.
But little do they know that these coastal developments are actually destroying our environment. A prime example of this is in the Bahamas. The destruction and decay is at an all-time high, destroying the natural beauty that the islands have to offer, such as the reefs, the marine life, the animals, and the plant life. A recent study by the United Nations Environment Program found that 58% of the world's reefs are potentially threatened by human activity. Overexploitation and coastal development pose the greatest potential threat. This is evident throughout the Bahamas in all aspects of life. By examining the decreasing abundance of marine life and the death of plant and coral species, we are able to gain insight into the true threats that these big businesses pose. In recent years, the Bahamas have had a great increase in the popularity of the islands, and so many new resorts have sprung up in order to take advantage because there's so many more people coming and there's a chance for wealth to be made.
Temporary enjoyment of the beautiful coral reef and island life is actually causing them to be destroyed, because some of the resorts tourists are staying at are damaging to the environment. Building on the example of the Bahamas, a new resort was recently built on the island of Great Guana Key, Abaco, Bahamas. This is a historically rustic island, and it's famous for its true representation of how the native people live, and it gives you a chance to experience their way of life. But because of the rising popularity of this vacation destination, large resorts have begun to appear. The resorts focus on being ultra luxurious, and so multiple golf courses have been built. These resort golf courses were heavily fought against by the local people, and for good reason. As an observation in early January of 2012, they found massive blooms of sewage-type algae being grown. And this algae smothers the beach and the rock and the sand where Baker's Bay Golf Course greens lie nearest to the shore of the northwestern Guana Key.
The growth of these massive resorts brings into question whether or not the tourist is actually experiencing the island life, because the resorts focus on having activities to entertain the guests rather than before, when the only thing was to do was to go out and explore this new culture which we're not really accustomed to. Great Guana Key has historically been a very rustic place, but this new golf course has drastically changed the island and the dynamics of the way that it's run. And at this point, we're going to show a picture of the island before. We have like an aerial view, so we couldn't figure out how to get it into the PowerPoint. And then we're going to say, like, as you can see in this photo, there's not much development other than the houses and the necessary stores, like to run the island. But then we're going to show another picture with the after picture of the island once the resort has been built. And we're going to show, like, you can see there's a completely different feel to the island, and no longer is it big forest, but it has big foundations of people. And so we're going to have a PowerPoint, and we already have it made. I'll put some of the pictures into the video of the golf course and the resort, like before and after, because you can really see like how different it is. And through the whole way, we're going to have PowerPoints going on the show showing all like the quotes that we're saying. We're going to have those in there. We're going to have like just pictures so it's not like super boring. We're going to have like pictures behind us going along with it to show the people what we're talking about. Many people might think that this to be harmless and maybe beneficial to the island with the increase in tourism, but it's actually doing the opposite. Because the problem with building this course was, according to the UN Environment Program, the increased runoff and sedimentation caused by the chemicals needed to maintain the golf course is actually doing great harm to the environment. And the Environment Program also found that sedimentation is one of the main reasons for reef degradation, as the heavy sediment Loading may cause the corals to suffocate and die. So by building this golf course, whereas we get the big benefit of having a golf course, it's ending up just really being bad. And so now we're going to show before and after pictures of the reefs, because both of us have been to the reefs and both of us know what they look like. We've taken pictures, and so there was actually one reef, all of the reefs have names, and we have one reef that that you can find online of an after picture because of the Baker's Bay golf course, and then I also took a picture before from almost the same angle, so you can see like the differences before and after.
In addition to the new golf course, there has also been an increase in a more grotesque factor. An environmental study found that a very large percentage of the sewage generated by the hotels is discharged into coastal waters without adequate treatment. And the hotels do this because it would cost them money that they don't want to spend on treating the sewage adequately and just so it's less harmful to the environment. They're just not willing to do this because it costs too much money. And it is common knowledge that something like this would damage the environment. So why did they do it? The resorts are required to adequately clean the waste before they dump it into the ocean, as this is the only place the island resorts can place the waste. But laws in these tropical islands are commonly very lenient, and so recently the resorts have begun to skip the steps in order to save money, and as a result the untreated sewage causes a nutrient enrichment which favors certain species, algae in particular. And all this is at the expense of the corals and the coral reefs and then the fish that live on the coral reefs.
These coral reefs are the main attraction for tourists coming to the Bahamas, so destroying these reefs in order to create nice resorts makes little to no sense. In a recent poll, just under 50% of all persons in the Bahamas are directly employed in tourism. If you add those who are indirectly employed in tourism, the percentage increases to 70%. In 1993, tourists spent approximately $1.3 billion in the country, which contributed to the jobs of over 45,000 persons. And that's a quote from Tourism Today. And so without the draw of this natural land, this number would drop drastically. These resorts might seem like the best option right now, but we have to really consider the long-term effects of what they're doing. Because in the near future, these high-class hotels might draw the attraction of vacationers because of the luxury and the golf courses and how beautiful it is now. But 10 years from now, after all of the sedimentation runoffs and all of the waste and all of the deforestation that's going on, will really look more like a city than an island. And if it's like that, do you think it's really going to be as popular? We have to question whether or not having something like this in an island environment is really the smart thing to do, because if you're just going there to enjoy the hotel, you can do that anywhere. It doesn't need to be built on these beautiful islands.
So I know it sounds like we are just preaching to save the world and clean everything up, but there are small decisions that happen in everyday life that can make a large impact in the long run. And the most important thing that is looking into classic housing options when visiting any Caribbean island. And our past experiences, these individual houses allow you to experience more of the family's culture or the famous cultures and just the island life in general. And we found that in the long run it turns out to be more enjoyable. They have always allowed us to have a responsible travel to natural areas that conserves the environment, sustains the well-being of the local people, and just allows you to have a good time.
The Baker's Bay Golf Course is an example for what is happening all around the world today.
Oh, sorry. The beauty of the coral reefs and the life that they bring with them cannot be replaced.
Once a coral reef is destroyed, it can take many decades to regrow.
And so it is very important to realize the effects of coastal development.
It is just one big cycle. When you pay for your week of leisure and fun, you're really paying for just the death of the reef.
And then when the reef dies, the hotel will shut down, and they will build another one on some other beach.
And then it just starts all over again.
So all we ask is that you really think twice about what you're paying for.
And what is really important in the long run.
And that
is an idea we thought was worth sharing.